CBS 46 News presents Public Affairs on Peach.
First up, things you never hear at a wedding, all right? Things you never hear at a wedding. This priest is hilarious. Things you never hear at a wedding. 54% of all marriages fail. Anyway, I now pronounce you man and wife.
The statistics are sobering. A lot of marriages fail, but there are many that succeed. And today, we're helping out the single folks and putting them on the path of finding their perfect mate. Good morning to you and welcome to Public Affairs on Peach. I'm your host, Adam Murphy. According to the latest Census Bureau, Atlanta has about 80,000 more single women than single men between the ages of 18 and 64. It's one of the largest such gaps in the entire country. So how do you find and keep true love? Well, joining me now, someone very special on the program, Leslie Nealon, an Atlanta-based relationship expert and the author of Finding Mr. Forever. Leslie, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So how did you get into this? What inspired you to become this expert?
I am a member of a women's social group, and each of us had a particular role that we played, and I was the advice giver. The advice that I was offering the women was working tremendously well, so I started to keep notes, and they would encourage me to write a book, and that's basically how the idea was born.
And so you have written now 2 books, I understand, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so the first one, though, is the Finding Mr. Forever.
Yes.
And I'm sure there's some great information in there, and we got a chance to kind of talk about the book a little bit. Let's break down the book and tell me what the 3 L's are.
The 3 L's, it's a formula that I've come up with to help women to start. It starts with the list, location, and love. The list should consist of the qualities and attributes that you want your Mr. Forever to possess, no less than 5 and no more than 10. We don't want it to be too long. And it should be concrete, solid things that you want that are conducive to your happiness. If you are looking for someone who is financially stable, that should be on your list. But the things that are important, that moving forward you think is something that you absolutely need in the relationship that would not or would be a deal breaker if the person doesn't possess that quality or particular attribute. Location, once you determine the type of man that you're interested in, you should do some research to find him, and I think that's very important to be proactive. I don't think women should go out on a hunt for men, but I do think that you should try to place yourself in situations where you can interact with the type of men that you're interested in. And lastly, love. Even though it sounds somewhat cliche, to love yourself is extremely important. Men pay very close attention to the way a woman treats herself, and I think that you should have standards and carry yourself with respect, and men pay attention to that and act accordingly. So it's very important.
Now, your latest book, is it an extension of Finding Mr. Forever, or does it go in a completely different direction, and what's the name of it?
It's called Loving Yourself, and it's actually written for young teenage girls. A lot of women, when I speak to them about where they fell into like bad situations, it was because they really didn't have any guidance as far as relationships when they were young. And I think to teach our young women how to love themselves and to carry themselves and set standards even at a young age, I think will be tremendously helpful.
Yeah, they say if you can't love yourself, then how can you love somebody else, right?
Exactly, or how can you expect someone else to love you?
That's
Absolutely.
Exactly right, yeah. And in the book, you talk about ask yourself what you're bringing to the table. Tell me a little bit about that.
A lot of women, when they do put their list together, they have these really high standards. And what I say to them is, if you were to meet a gentleman who had these qualities and attributes that you're asking, can you meet his qualifications? Are you the type of woman that this type of gentleman would be interested in? And a lot of them have to pause and give it some thought, because everyone is always interested in what their needs are, but they have to also be interested and consider the other person's needs as well. So I think that's important.
Yeah, you know, when you're in relationships too, you always want the other person to change. Mm-hmm. But you have to learn to adapt and change yourself. That's all you can do is change yourself, right?
Yes.
And so you got to think about these things too in a mate or a partner.
You do.
You know, I've got to make sure I'm a good fit for them as well, and that I can, meet their needs, I presume.
Right, and you want it to be both ways. You want the person that you're seeking to be proud and happy to have you as a mate. So you're absolutely right.
You also talk about don't seek validation outside of yourself.
A lot of women allow their self-worth to be determined by the man in their life. And even though I think that it's very important that you feel comfortable with the person that you're with and you're proud of them, you should seek validation, or you should always allow the things that give you validation or help you to feel good about yourself. Those should be things that you have control over. You should never, again, seek validation, especially not from men. So, you know, with that being said, I think a lot of women place value on their careers and their education, and that's great, but you should also place value on the small wins in life. For example, if you were to set a goal for yourself to lose 5 pounds and you achieve that goal, that should hold value. If you learn a new skill, or you're just taking really good care of yourself by working out or eating healthy, all of those things should hold value, because those are all things that help you feel better about yourself. So again, never seek validation or self-worth outside of anything that you can control. It always ends up in a bad situation.
And you also mentioned add value to your life. What do you mean by that?
What I just spoke about, as far as doing things to make you feel better about yourself, working out, eating healthy, you know, reading books, you know, just doing things that add value, learning a new skill. All of those things are very important to making you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, find things that make you happy, because only you can make yourself happy.
That's
right?
very true.
You got to make that choice every day. Be happy, and especially in a relationship.
And doing things to help to make that
That's exactly right.
a reality.
So tell me about some examples of how you've helped women find their perfect guy.
Well, what I typically do is I tell women again to to make their list, and they need to really be clear on what they're looking for. A lot of times, and especially with, it really doesn't matter as far as age, younger or older women, sometimes they go out there and just wait for something to happen. And you have to basically put yourself in a situation and in a mindset that you're open and you're ready to be in a relationship. I think that making the list and being proactive and going out to put yourself in situations where you're meeting the type of men that you're interested in is very important. But more than that, you need to just work on yourself and be patient. And I think that everything is going to come together, but continue to work on yourself and don't give up. You know, be patient and keep your standards high and don't settle.
Leslie Nealon, great stuff. And you have a seminar coming up, I understand.
I do. My seminars actually are going to be once a month. The first one is going to be the May 22nd. If anyone is interested in learning more information, they can go to my website, which is findingmrforever.com. And I have some social events that are also going to take place, and all of that information is on my website.
Excellent job. Good advice, and thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
This definitely helps some folks out there. And coming up, we're digging deeper into relationships and marriage. Author Curtis Bunn joins us with perspective from the male point of view. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this break. More Public Affairs on Peach is coming back.